So the first day of class, sociology class, Austin, Texas, 1995. I'm sitting there waiting for the teacher to walk in. The door opens and in walks this guy. Hiking boots, flannel, jeans, leans against the chalkboard, bouncing the ball in his hand, waiting for everyone to be quiet. And the second I saw you, I know body level certainty. This man I've never spoken to, who
Okay.
happens to be twice my age and who is my teacher. I run home after class. I tell my roommate, Heather, I say, I'm going to marry this guy in a heartbeat. She looks at me. She thinks I've lost my mind, which is fair. It's the 90s. You don't ask out your teacher.
All right.
You're twice my
All right.
age. And it's a female asking out a guy. You don't do these things. Certainly as a woman, there's 3 societal taboos going on. But I knew and I didn't care. And I didn't care because I knew.
Oh.
Years later,
Mhm.
we built an
All right.
entire organization around what I knew that day because that one moment of certainty, that one insane moment changed everything.
Okay, let's back it up. I need you to back up.
Okay.
Because what you just described is crazy, unhinged. What was happening when you're within your body when I walked in that room?
Okay. I'm sitting there. I was 22? I was waiting for
Yeah.
class to start. I don't even remember what I was wearing that day, but I remember the room, the fluorescent lights, the sheer desk in rows, and I'm just kind of there. And I'm waiting,
Right.
bored. I'm not paying attention to much.
Okay.
Then the door opens and you walk in. In walks
Okay.
Michael Sebastian. And you've got on the hiking boots, like legit worn in, and some,
Right.
jeans and your
Right.
flannel, which happens to be my favorite type of clothing on a guy. You leaned across against the chalkboard and you got this rubber ball. I remember this ball in your hand and you're starting to bounce the ball and you're
Right.
waiting. You're
Right.
watching all
All
of
right.
us. You were waiting for everyone to be quiet. You weren't saying a word. You were just staring and scoping out everyone in the room.
Okay, I remember. And
Well, I can't even describe it, Mike. It wasn't attraction. It wasn't, oh my God, he's hot. It was like my entire body went quiet, like someone hit pause. And in that moment, in that quiet, there was a voice. It wasn't really a voice. Well, actually, it was kind of a screaming
right.
voice and a knowing. And it said, you're going to marry this guy. You have a mission. This is it.
A mission. Okay, a mission.
Yes. But I didn't even have that language yet. I just knew
All
we were
right.
going to do something huge together. We had to be together regardless. It was this fact, this knowing, and I didn't freak out and get all googly. I just sat there, quiet, calm, in total knowingness.
Right. Hey, when you know, you know. So you really knew, but you did nothing, right?
No, I didn't do anything. I sat through class, you know.
All right. For how long?
Well, the entire semester.
All
I
right.
was cool that entire semester. I remember I didn't let you know anything. I told her, she thought I was crazy. I never spoke on it again. I got my A and then class ended and then that was it.
Okay. So you sat in class for months knowing that.
Yes, and I didn't say anything because you would have thought I was insane. What would people think? How would you react? There's rules. There's rules
Right.
about this stuff. I wasn't about to blow up my life over something I couldn't even explain, so I kept my mouth shut.
Okay. So got it.
Yeah.
And you studied and waited for what though?
Well, for it to be over, for
All
you
right.
not to be my teacher anymore, for the universe to give me a different window.
And did it? Did it give you the window or no?
It sure did. The next semester, I don't see you. It's the next semester. We're in the hallway and I'm sitting and I'm talking to this guy. We're sitting on a bench and he's about to ask me out.
All right.
And then I see you
All right.
down the end of the hallway. And I went, holy shit. And I told this guy, I got to go. In the middle of, he's about to ask me out. And I ran down the hallway as fast as I could, yelling your, "Hey, Sebastian!" And I ran down the hall just to get to you.
Yeah, and I remember, actually, I remember that.
You
So,
probably thought, "Who is this crazy girl
yeah,
yelling my
yeah,
name?"
unhinged crazy girl.
So so, and I don't even remember that guy's name, and it didn't even matter. I'm out of breath, man, and I look
Alright.
at you and
Oh my god.
I say, "Hey, I thought maybe we could go to lunch."
No, no,
Yes, that's exactly how it went.
yes.
And I think you thought I was probably crazy,
Yeah,
man.
totally crazy. That is the most crazy thing that I've run into in a while. So, yeah, it caught me by surprise,
Yeah,
but I remember.
totally. But but I said it and you just stared at me. And I could see you processing, like, is this student asking me out? Like, is this happening?
Mm.
Then there's this long pause and then what did you do?
Hey, I said, "Yeah, sure, okay," and for me, it was students often ask me out to lunch to get a letter of recommendation for graduate school, so I
Okay.
started processing it, and I thought, "Okay, she just needs a letter of recommendation. I got it. Okay, sure. So, go on forward." Yeah. I
S-
said yes,
So that makes sense. Okay. So you said yes. I was overjoyed.
just like that, just like that.
Yes. Just like that. You said yes. I was overjoyed.
And what the fuck? I mean, what the fuck at that
Right,
point?
right. So now what do we do? Right. Okay. So we did lunch the next day. As you remember, we went to Jason's
Yep,
Deli. This is all in Austin, Texas,
yep,
by the way, everybody. Okay, so we're talking every day. Yeah, we do lunch the next day. And then what did you say? I asked you something like, you tell it. It's too perfect. You always say, and she says, I thought we might date.
yeah. Actually, we were sitting there and I said, "So, what can I do for you? How can I be of service?" I knew she wanted a letter of recommendation, and Nicole says, "I thought we might date." And I said, "What? Excuse me? I thought I misheard her. Now that I'm maybe late or no, I thought we might date."
Yes, yes. No, you did not mishear me. No, absolutely. And so, yeah, we were eating at Jason's Deli, and
Yeah,
but you said yes.
yeah,
Ultimately, you said, "Well, okay."
sure.
And I remember going home. I remember going home because we hadn't set anything up yet. And I remember wondering if you were going to call.
Right,
I never tell this part of the story, you know that? I was wondering, is he going to call? Is he going to call?
right,
And you called. You called like within 2 hours. And you said, you want to go to dinner the
right,
next night. Yeah, it was a Tuesday, Thursday class. So it was Thursday. So the next night was Friday. So it was like,
right,
do you want to go to dinner? And I was like, yes. Anyhow, so then, because we're in Austin, and we went to dinner the following night at that Italian restaurant
right.
on
6th Street
on
downtown.
6th Street. I
Yep,
don't even know if the place is still open anymore. And
yep,
where you sit outside, really cool with Christmas lights, that
yep,
cool Italian restaurant. So anyway, that was like the first dinner date. The
right,
first dinner date. And everything's casual and oh wait, here you've got to tell them after dinner, you walked me back to my car
mhm.
and you had a sign. What happened?
I had a sign, I'm walking Nick back to her car, and there's her license plate, and it was the initials started out with the exact initials, 3 initials of my ex-wife. It was like a flash, but I knew in that moment, it wasn't
Mhm.
just seeing it, I
No.
went, "Whoa," and I knew it was a sign, and I realized it was meaning it's going to be a significant, serious relationship, really leading my life down another path.
Yes, the initials, the letters on my license plate were KRW.
Yep,
And there you go, the initials of your first wife,
yep,
and holy shit, now you've got, I mean, the whole thing was weird. Here I'm running down the hall asking you out, and
yep.
then it's lunch and then it's dinner and now there's the the letters of the initials of your wife on my license plate. I
And it
mean,
and it wasn't just let's date. I was already dating.
You were dating. Wait. We got to tell him.
I was already dating.
Michael was already dating 5 other people
Yep.
simultaneously, you guys. Like,
Different one for each day of the week. True story. And Nicole, I said, "Hey, I'm already dating." And she said, "So am I, but we can set those people aside." I started laughing. What?
set them aside. Let's see how this goes.
Yep.
And so that's exactly what we did. And yeah, Michael was actually dating 5 other people simultaneously, not cheating on people. Everyone knew about it. Was just open. It was an open
Yep.
time back then. Well, it still is. It's more open now than then. But anyhow, and so that's kind of how it went. So hey, and like a month after that, we're sitting in the apartment, and you asked me why did I ask you out, and I just looked at you and I said, because I knew.
Mm.
I knew.
Yeah, I remember you said that. You said you knew. There was a knowingness there.
Yes. And what did you say? You didn't say anything for a long time. You stared at me, and then you said, wait. Knew what? And I said, well, we have something to do together. We have something big to do together.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I know it's big, and I know it's me and you.
Okay. Okay.
You didn't laugh. You didn't even freak out. You're like nodded. You were ultra cool back then. You were so fucking smooth, and nothing even surprised you,
Right. Holy shit.
So,
Okay, so walk me through the 90 days because you go from, I know we have a mission to really engaged. We're engaged in 3 months. I
know.
mean, what the hell happened in
Okay.
those 3 months?
Okay, so let's walk the people through. And really, everything moved fast, right? Everything moved like stupid fast. We started spending every day together, talking about everything, philosophy and psychology and dreams,
Mhm.
consciousness, stuff no one was talking about in the 90s, mind you. And it wasn't like we were trying to fall in love. It was more like we were remembering
Right.
something. We were remembering something that we already knew. It was really interesting. You ever meet someone and it feels like you've known them your whole life? And I know that half you listeners know what we're talking about, but it was bigger than that. It was like we didn't
Right.
need to explain it to ourselves, to each other.
Right.
We didn't need to perform. We were just there. And I think you knew intuitively that we had a mission because you didn't even fight it. We were supposed to build something, teach something, create something.
Yeah.
We didn't have the details yet, but we knew. Things are cool and we're hanging and everything's great. We're sitting at Long John Silver's fish restaurant.
Right.
And we took a trip from Austin down to Galveston and we're hanging out and we're sitting there eating fish. And and we bought those rings,
Right.
rings from the beach.
Right. They were beach rings, like cheap rings, and they were, all 3 connected.
Yes, these rings right here, these
Yeah,
rings.
3 rings.
Right?
Still
These
got 'em.
3. The tri-gold. Okay. And so they were cheap, stupid rings at the beach store.
Right.
And so we bought these rings and we're sitting there like, cool, these are matching rings, dot, 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 dot. And then I remember I went and got my belly pierced, right? We went to the piercer.
Right.
This is all on the fly in Galveston. Okay. Then we go to Long John Silver's and we're talking and we're eating and we're talking about these badass rings we got. Matching rings. Hold up your
Mhm.
rings.
I got it.
Yes.
Look at that.
Matching rings. So we're talking and I'm thinking, okay, so like now what are we going to do with these rings? And we're like, well,
Yeah. I could, you
we backed into getting engaged, you guys. We
Okay.
literally backed into it.
Right. I said, "Hey, we can have these rings made into real gold. I know a guy outside of Boston that he's got the gold and he makes rings and he can create these rings for us." And then we realized suddenly, "Oh my God, what does that mean? We've got these engagement rings. Are we engaged?" And we just sat there and it's like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
And it kind of all downloaded, all came in. And it was like, what?
We didn't even know what the hell we were talking.
We didn't even
No.
understand at that point, like what we had just committed to. We were getting golden rings, their engagement. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Like when I say we backed into getting engaged, I literally mean that because like you said, We were just talking about rings and having these rings
Right.
made, and wouldn't that be cool? It's like, so what does this mean? It's like, we didn't know what the hell it meant, and fish is flying around because we were in that moment. I remember, like, what the fuck did we just do?
Right.
We just inadvertently got engaged.
Right.
And it was so weird how it happened in a backwards manner, but we were down with
Right.
the whole thing.
Yeah. We knew that that was the path. We inwardly knew, so we didn't, fight it or step back. But at the same time, we didn't really understand
Mhm,
what we
mhm,
just did.
mhm.
We just got engaged quietly and agreed to it.
And yes, so it was, and that was 90 days in. We were
Right.
engaged in 90 days.
Correct.
And so it's 90 days in, now we're
Right.
engaged, right? We told no one. We kept it
Nobody?
on the down
Okay.
low. We followed the law of silence. We didn't tell anybody, but we planned to elope
Yep.
in Austin, Texas on Town Lake. So we actually, a friend of ours to marry us, and we set up the whole thing, and we did it at dawn on Town Lake, and it was super cool, and it was just a beautiful,
It was
beautiful
a
day.
beautiful wedding, nobody there but us and the cleric and ducks floating on town. A bunch of the ducks came in
Yes.
quacking like, "Hey, I like you guys."
Yes, the ducks were there too. After this, we're driving down 6th Street. I remember the cop pulled us over for speeding,
Right.
and he let us go because we had just gotten married,
Yeah, we
okay?
just got married. We told the cop, "Hey, we just got." He said, "All right, all right. I'm going to give you a pass on all the speeding and everything else. You guys have a good trip."
Yes, and we were gonna go to Katz's to have brunch. This is just you and I. So in the meantime, there's no cell phone, so we stop at a payphone, and I call my mother. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I called my mother to tell her. She answers, and she's in Michigan. We're in Texas. I call her and I say, "Hey, I just got married. I just eloped." And she was beside herself. She was livid. She didn't even know we were dating. She didn't know anything about Michael, let alone he's twice my age, he's my teacher. I mean, all the taboos that were going on. She didn't talk to me for 6 months.
Mhm.
6 months silent treatment. I didn't know that she'd ever talk again.
Right.
So it was 6 months of silence. She was so mad. Oh my gosh, her only daughter at the age of 24 getting married is her teacher, twice her age. All this bullshit. It was not cool. But anyway, we went to Katz's and we had a
Yep.
great day.
Yep.
And then we decided to do our honeymoon later.
Right.
We put the honeymoon on hold. We went to Aruba later, but that's another story. It was 6 months of radio silence from her, and it sucked, but I knew I made the right choice
Yeah.
because this wasn't about her and it wasn't about anybody else. It was about me. It was about certainty. It was about
Right.
me and you. It was about our mission, this thing we were called to do. I remember when we were driving, and we're going to call it Trust Yourself, and we're going to uplift humanity. And then we started teaching these workshops at the community college, renting out space, running ads. Remember, there's no internet, there's no social media. We started teaching people how to trust themselves, how to use dreams, how to use signs, how to tap into their own knowing.
Hmm.
So people's lives changed fast.
And that was our mission, the knowingness, to teach knowingness to others. And it was really important that
Hmm.
law of silence, when we found our path, that we keep it to ourselves because other people have opinion. They want to come to the wedding. They want you to put it on hold. They want to move this over here. They have opinions. They get involved. And suddenly you get swayed and go another direction.
Hmm.
Should have gone to A, we go to
Hmm.
C because of social opinion and people's influence. That's why always law of silence, keep
Hmm.
it to yourself and make the right move. Trust yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had to be quiet.
We had
Y-
to be quiet. Yeah.
to the friends, to the family, now to the world, we were already rocking and rolling with our workshops and things, but that's the state of consciousness alignment. These people were ready. Even our own family
Yeah.
members were like,
No,
clueless about how these things work. And that's cool. That's why we stayed quiet.
we really knew this would work because,
Well, because I'd lived it. I trusted
yeah,
my gut with you. You trusted the signs with the license plate, and it led us to the most important part partnership of
Right.
our lives, and realized if I can do this and if you can do this, anyone can do this. It overrides logic and fear and societal pressure. You trust what you know, and then and that became the mission, trust
Yeah.
yourself. And
uh,
that's what we've been teaching for how long? 30
Yeah.
years now.
Because what you're describing, this immediate certainty, this mission,
Mhm.
this knowingness,
Yeah,
it sounds completely insane to most people.
you're right.
And people are like, okay, but what if you'd been wrong? Oh my God, you could have been wrong. What if you'd blown up? Everything went south. What if this infatuation or delusion just disappeared?
You're right. And it could have been that for me or for you. Oh,
So, how do you know the difference, really?
how do you know the difference between intuition or wanting something to be true? Well, that's the question, right?
Right.
And here's the thing. You can't always know in the moment, but you can. You can't prove it. You can't logic your way into certainty, but there are signs when it's real intuition, when it's real knowingness, it's quiet. Sometimes it's loud, but there's this knowing, there's this fact, like the
Yeah.
sky is blue and the water is wet. There's this truth. And it's not fear or wishful thinking. It's it's not a desire, let this be true, let this work out. It's just such a solid knowingness.
Eh,
Like if
Yeah.
you're in love. Even when I was running down the hallway
Yeah.
yelling your name, even when I was eloping without telling my mom,
Right.
even when everyone thought I was crazy, underneath all of it, I was calm because I knew.
Yeah. But you can't explain it scientifically or logically. That's the deal.
No, and that's the hardest part, and that's really another reason to stay quiet.
Yeah.
We live in a world that demands explanation, it demands proof, demands, logic, and intuition doesn't work that way. Intuition says
So,
this is true, then you have to decide if you're brave enough
yeah.
to trust it or to act on it.
And most people really aren't. But just trust me, stay away from the science and the logic, go with the knowingness.
Most people override it,
Mm.
right? They talk themselves out of it. They listen to other people's opinions. Then years later, they look back and think, I fucking knew. Why didn't I
Yeah.
listen?
So, what do you say to someone who's sitting with that feeling right now, that quiet knowingness,
Mm,
but they're terrified,
mm.
they're ready to panic?
I'd say start small. You don't have to run down the hallway and propose to your teacher. I love it. You don't have to blow up your life in one move, but notice the knowing. Notice the knowingness. Notice when it shows up and practice acting on it in small ways. Trust that quiet voice. Don't take that job.
Mhm.
Don't text that person. Go to that event and see what happens. You monitor the outcomes. You collect your
Yeah.
data. Here's the thing. Intuition is the muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more you ignore it, it gets quiet.
Eventually, you can't hear it at all. And that's when
Mm-mm.
people end up getting blindsided. Marriages fall apart, careers explode, health crisis everywhere. And they're like, whoa, I never saw it coming. I really didn't. But they did. They just didn't listen. Remember, listen, be quiet, and trust yourself.
I think everyone has access to this. It's not special. It's not woo. It's not reserved for psychics or mystics or people who meditate on
No,
mountaintops. It's a human it's a human capacity. It's in our consciousness, it's in our DNA, and we have been taught not to trust it. We haven't even been taught that it's part of us.
why? Why is that anyway?
It's dangerous. If
Okay,
people trusted themselves, if people gathered that confidence, they don't
exactly.
need external validation, right?
Exactly. They don't, why do they need society and counselors and the church and the doctors and all the experts? They don't. If you have the answers, why do you need all that? It's dangerous to society.
Systems or control. It's
Yeah.
personal, it's psychological, it's cultural, it's political. When you trust yourself, you become
Ungovernable. Yeah. They can't govern you anymore. And
no.
that changes everything. So 30 years later, we're still together, still doing the mission, still working together, doing our work. But what was it worth it? All of that, the criticism, the isolation, the years of being misunderstood, was it worth it?
Yes. Obviously without question. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. That moment in the classroom. It wasn't random, and it wasn't luck, and it wasn't like, "Oh my god, my soulmate, I'm in love with my soulmate." It was beyond this, it was certainty, it was knowing, it was me being awake and aware enough to notice, being brave enough to act on it, and everything we built, the tools, the teachings, the nonprofit institute, the whole system, it came from that moment of trust, that one decision to believe what I knew, to trust what I knew, even when it was awkward, every conversation, every person who thought I was crazy, every moment of doubt, fear, uncertainty, because I got to, I'll live a life that's mine, not what someone else thought
Exactly.
I should do, not what someone thought you should do, not what made sense on paper.
And that's the mission. It really is. Trust your gut. That's the mission. Trust yourself. You got the truth.
Not because it's easy or safe, but because it's the only way to live a life that's actually yours.
That's fucking wild. It really is, actually.
Yes. Like people thought we were genuinely unhinged.
And we were, because we were trusting ourselves, going against all the rules and regulations.
I'm not saying everyone should elope with their teacher or throw caution to the wind and act on every impulse. But we are saying this: if you have that quiet knowing, that bone deep certainty, and you keep ignoring it, you're going to regret it. Maybe not today, and maybe not tomorrow, but eventually.
Yeah. And you'll make all the wrong decisions and get blindsided and wonder, how did that happen? Where did it come from? You already had the answer. You just ignored it.
Start over. Pay attention, notice those signals. And when you know, really know, trust it, even if it scares you, even if it doesn't make sense, even if everyone thinks you're crazy. Because 30 years from now, you'll be glad you did. The bottom line is track your data. That builds the bicep and builds the confidence. So if you've ever been through this, if you've ever been in this situation, make sure to subscribe, share,
Trust your gut.
save your ass.